Everyone is saying that crypto is dead, but I don't care about opinions. I believe that we're soon coming to a moment where the opportunity to make 5 or 10x is coming back again to crypto. And today we're going to talk about some of the signals that I'm particularly watching where we'll be able to find those opportunities again. Welcome back everyone, we're back again with another episode of the 5-Figure Escape. And since the last episode, a lot has happened in the crypto market. Bitcoin is down now over 50%, with the rest of the altcoin market down even further. Fortunately, our portfolio is still pretty strong, and that's because we have over an 80% allocation, or around an 80% allocation to stablecoins, with the rest of it particularly being in perp market tokens, which have actually held up perfectly well. Lighter and Hyperliquid both have generally been surviving relatively well, and Hyperliquid actually thriving to some extent against the rest of the market overall. We did have some Bitcoin exposure in this portfolio, fortunately not much more than a couple of percent, and we are down around 20% on that. I guess the elephant in the room is really Bitcoin. What on earth has happened here? We've gone from 126k now down to 66 as of recording, and in fact we did actually go to 60 just a couple of weeks ago. Well, look, we're in a bear market. There's no way around that really. And I think we're seeing this not only in crypto markets, but other markets as well to some extent. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Now, one of the things that I'm going to talk about right now is some of the levels that I'm particularly watching before I actually start going aggressive into something like Bitcoin. And for me, it's the EMAs. Now, generally, I don't really use technical indicators. I like to just buy something based on whether I feel it's undervalued or from a fundamental perspective. But in this case, I think sometimes having a bit of patience in markets is always a good thing. I think Warren Buffett once said that markets are generally a way to transfer value from those who are impatient to those who are patient. And I think there's also another famous quote that you've probably heard before, where generally every year there are a few times where you can pick off money from the floor in markets. And potentially it's a case of just waiting a little bit and waiting for that opportunity to come. Now, if we look at EMAs, you can see right now that Bitcoin is just toying with the 200-week EMA. And I think it's really interesting to look at kind of what happened last cycle, where we had a really big drop. Going down massively all the way to the 200-week EMA, and then breaking even lower down below that as well for a period of time. And this was quite some time actually, if you think about it, going from peak to the 200-week EMA was around 6 months. But then after that period, which is kind of interesting, we went sideways for quite some time. We're talking basically 200 days. And so I wonder if something similar is going to happen here where, yes, we topped out in September and, it's been, 140 days, not quite 6 months just yet. But maybe we will kind of have one more leg lower, and that's kind of where we'll range for a bit before going back up. That's, of course, if we're going to look at last cycle. Doesn't mean that that's going to happen again. So I do actually think that we're actually getting to a fairly interesting point here. Is this the bottom? I'm not sure. Is it somewhere where I wouldn't mind buying some Bitcoin? Yes. Do I think that Bitcoin is going to potentially go a little bit lower? Yes. But I don't necessarily want to be offside, and I think if you're buying Bitcoin in the 60s or even in the 50s, I think you're getting pretty good value. One of the reasons why I'm not necessarily in the market right now to just buy Bitcoin straight away is because not only is there a lot of geopolitical tension with the US and Iran, but also more broadly, the stock market also doesn't look as strong as I would like it to be. And I think the S&P 500 can be a little bit devious right now, especially if you just look at it on a kind of longer time frame. But actually, it's basically been sideways since October. The S&P 500, has been going sideways for, call it, almost 120 days now. It's been held up by energy and some of the kind of more smaller stocks, actually, if you think about it. That's because if you look at the Mag 7, for example, all 7 of those stocks are down, with the likes of Meta, Amazon down more than double digits now. So there's clearly some weakness in the market, and that's particularly because of ongoing CapEx. These hyperscalers are spending more and more money. We're talking about hundreds of billions. And the market doesn't like that. The market is uncertain about AI. And that's kind of why we're seeing Walmart trade at double the PE ratio than something like Amazon, which generally seems a little bit outrageous. But that's just generally the market that we're in. So there's quite a lot of fear in the market. And I think you can see this clearly if you look at software stocks. Software stocks have been brutal. Adobe, Roblox, Duolingo. These stocks have been hurt bad. And I don't necessarily think that's going to end anytime soon. AI is disrupting every single one of these industries, particularly software, where, the likes of some of these companies potentially may not exist in the future. Is it always going to be like that? I don't necessarily think so. I think some of these companies, for example, Salesforce, I've read today, they are looking, or they have basically, there's lots of content out there right now actually about how they are going to be AI resistant in some capacity. So it's going to be interesting. But I think because of the ongoing crisis that AI is causing to the market, as well as kind of the NASDAQ and the Mag 7, and of course kind of where Bitcoin is, especially when I look at historically, I'm tempted to just be a little bit patient for now. And what that means is with our portfolio is that we'd continue to just farm with our stable coins. There's still lots of protocols worth airdrop farming, whether that's pup markets, whether that's prediction markets. I think those two are definitely still worth farming. And I think a new category of DeFi is also emerging. I did actually talk about this in an article, which I'll leave in the description below, but you can you can read it if you're watching this on Twitter. If you're watching on YouTube, go to my Substack and you can read it there. But I do believe that a big change is coming to crypto, and particularly DeFi markets. And I believe that's going to be the integration of tokenized equities on chain. It's going to be an industry that I will be following very closely, and I believe will be one of the biggest growing sectors of the year. And so potentially might be worth a bet on some of the infra for this when it comes to DeFi markets as well. But on top of that, I think something that I am going to do going forward is going to be adding tokenized equities in this portfolio as well. And so there are a few that I do actually like, a few equities and indices that I do like. One of them is SSO, which is a leverage 2x ETF on the S&P 500 by ProShares. I've actually done a lot of research on it. Its performance is actually pretty phenomenal over the 20 years that it has existed. It's beaten the S&P 500 quite significantly over the last 10 years with annualized returns of 20%, whereas the S&P 500 has only had 13.7%. And actually, if you look at all of the calendar years in its history, the S&P 500 only did better than SSO in 3 of those 19 years. So 16 out of the 19 calendar years, SSO has outperformed. So yeah, it's a really interesting instrument. There are, of course, a lot of cons around it as well, which maybe we'll talk about in another video. But this is an asset that I think is generally, if you're going to hold it long term, better than the S&P 500. And the other, of course, is Amazon. And that's because Amazon right now is trading at its lowest valuation ever. It's really a bet on pretty much everything. It's almost an index in itself, whether that's a bet on retail, AWS, advertising, which is still one of its biggest growing revenues right now as well. AI, which of course we know Amazon has ownership in Anthropic. Amazon is also building its own AI chips as well that are going to help reduce the machine learning costs for its AI models, but also the bet on robotics, streaming, physical devices, healthcare, satellites now as well, and of course EV. Amazon is a hyperscaler that I think will just continue to grow and grow and grow in the coming years. And so, yeah, it's one that I do actually like and one that I potentially will add in the portfolio. Again, perhaps if you guys are interested, we could do a more deeper dive into Amazon and why I'm so bullish on this stock. Last but not least, I think of crypto in general, I have actually been making a list of some of the assets that I actually do like. A lot of them are DeFi assets, of course, but there are also some non-DeFi assets. A lot of them pretty much revenue generating. But I do have a list of around 25 or so crypto assets. And so perhaps in one of the coming videos, we can kind of go through them all one by one. Maybe I can make it into like 5 parts. Let me know if you guys would like that. But these are some of the tokens that I think are going to drive the biggest growth in crypto going forward, not only from a revenue perspective, but also in terms of product innovation. And so that's why I'm pretty excited to kind of share some of them with you. And they're not always just like the main big ones that you kind of think about, whether that's something like Hyperliquid. There's this amazing PDF, a 59-page kind of deep dive on Hyperliquid and its value, essentially, which I think is great, and I'll leave that in the description below. But the assets that I'm talking about are actually, some of them very, very small. We're talking about some of them being sub 50 mil, sub 20 mil FDVs, yet they are revenue generating machines, and I think some of them will hopefully be fantastic investments in the future. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'll definitely try to cover some of them. Of course, we'll be adding some of them to the portfolio in due time as well. But otherwise, I think that's kind of where we are at the moment. It's been a while since the last video, so I do apologize for that. A lot of things been going on. But I'll be back with another update fairly soon. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. See you all next time.